when I'm not witnessing human nature in its most primal form at every four-way stop sign intersection. I like to answer questions that I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. Thanks for the pro tip. I'm doing my first gig in 2 weeks. What stagecraft tips can you give me? That's so awesome. Congratulations on getting out there and doing it. Number one tip I can give for anybody who's nervous about performing live is that nobody cares. Literally, nobody cares. Just think about, there's probably been times that you've been out and playing, or maybe like listening to someone play, and they're absolutely awful. Like, unless you're like a true douche, you're not gonna like give them a hard time about it. It's just like, okay, this is what's going on here, you know? So just kind of realize, like put yourself in the listener's position and kind of how you would react, and it's gonna be totally fine, you know? For me personally, sometimes I still maybe get a little bit of nerves, but like once I actually start playing, it's all good, you know? And then just realize that everybody makes mistakes. I'm sure there's been some kind of mistake I've made in every single show I've played. Most of the time, whoever's listening to it they can't even discern a mistake from what is actually happening, which may be saying something about my playing in general. But really, if you do make a mistake though, just keep going. Just power through it, you know? The worst thing to do, the absolute worst thing to do is maybe make a mistake and then just stop, because you know, then you're drawing attention to the mistake to be had. Unless it's like a life-altering mistake, then just make a little joke about it, kind of give it a laugh, be personal, engage with the audience. That's something that I feel like has helped me a lot. Just kind of talk to people a little bit. There's a fine line between talking too much and actually doing your thing, but again, be engaging, power through your mistakes, realize that nobody cares, and even if somebody does say something salty, it's just, you know, it's just par for the course for the salty blue stuff. So go out there and slay it. I've heard text-to-speech that was more interesting than this video.
Go screw yourself, you salty blues wannabe. This speech robot has more emotion than any of your E minor pentatonic solo nonsense.
As a former Guitar Center employee, do you have any thoughts on the rumors concerning them filing for bankruptcy? So I worked at Guitar Center for like 2 or 3 years, and this was probably like 8 years ago, and there were a lot of rumors of them filing for bankruptcy back then. So it's kind of just one of those things that I'll actually believe it when it happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen. I'm actually a big Guitar Center fan. I think it's awesome that you can just go there and try out different things that maybe like the boutique shops don't get, but also at the same time, I think that some of their practices kind of have led to where they are now, which it blows my mind that you can't run a successful business when you literally pay your employees like nothing. Like it's all kind of like commission work. It's like minimum wage, and then, or at least when I was there, it's minimum wage plus if you pay back your minimum wage, then you get a commission, stuff like that too. And you have to stock everything. I don't know, it's just crazy. And it seems like they should be able to get their act together, but it hasn't happened yet. Anyways, hopefully they'll still be around in some capacity. But you know, a lot of these big box stores are going down, and eventually it's probably just gonna be time. If all the animals on Earth got into a Hunger Games style global death match, who reigns victorious? I would definitely like to hear you guys' opinions on this too. I think it comes down to the final four, which seem obvious to me, being lions, silverback gorillas, bears, and tigers. I've heard when I was doing the research for that big cat habitat thing, where I did like the jungle music for that thing, maybe if you've seen it before, they told me that the female tiger is the most ferocious animal on Earth. And they seem to have pretty good authority. My gut tells me that I want to take the silverback gorilla, but every time I've seen a documentary, I get like all riled up for some silverback gorilla, just like carnage. And I'm always kind of disappointed. So I'm gonna go with the tiger. Sean, have you got any good exercises to strengthen your pinky finger, like other than drilling arpeggios? Pinky finger, the weakest of the clan of fingers here. So one thing, aside from just guitar stuff, that I recommend to my students is to use your pinky finger for stuff that your other fingers would normally do during the day. Like if you're gonna have a fine sip of tea, use it with your thumb and your pinky finger. If you're gonna open a doorknob, use your pinky finger and the rest of your hand. Really just use it for day-to-day activities that they normally wouldn't. And eventually your pinky finger is gonna have index finger-like strength, which is gonna be incredible for your hand and life in all sorts of different factions. Now, as far as like drilling it on a guitar, I think one thing to do is maybe start hammering on extended chords with your pinky. So like a good bar chord example would be like if I have this A7 chord, I want to take my pinky and maybe grab the 7th fret on the high E string. And then maybe just move it up to the B string. Really any of that kind of stuff, like even if they're just like simple chord manipulation hammer-ons, stuff like that. Like, you know, a good song would be like Under the Bridge by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Something like where you do that hammer-on type thing. Start working that out. Also too, sliding into solo type things is a good idea. Usually when you use your ring finger to like lead the way, for like maybe slide into the 7th fret on the A string, then go into the 5th fret on the D string, use your pinky. So, you know, that stuff will come, but you just have to get the pinky finger in the game. So start doing that. No excuses. One could just take some piano lessons, learn online, learn from a book, or learn from a DVD. He missed how important fingering techniques are to actually playing the piano. Well, Salty Elitist Piano Commenter of the Week, it's a good thing that I named the title of the video, How to Actually Play the Piano. Question 1, how to sort out difficult rhythms, practice, and apply them. Question 2, when is your rock album coming out? I became too lazy to download them all from YouTube. So question 1, as far as like learning difficult rhythms, I mean difficult is kind of relative, but I think it all comes down to musical counting. If you can count it in time, you can play it. That's all it is, just down and up for the most part. Sometimes there will be kind of staggered beats for sure, but if you can really kind of see where those counting, where the beats lie in a count, which a lot of musicians kind of take for granted, just being able to be like, okay, like the downbeat is on the 1 and the 2, the offbeat is on the end of 2. If you can count it, you can play it. So force yourself to learn good musical counting, and then eventually if you're starting to like something like that, really just kind of like practice it on a deadened string instead of kind of playing it on an open chord or something like that. Because a lot of times you're probably not going to get the best tone if you're still just working through it. So work through the rhythm on a muted you know, string set. Find out how to count it, where those actual beats are happening, and then start trying to apply it. As far as the rock album goes, I got one more song probably coming out this week here. I think it might be done actually, and then I'm probably going to go back and take another pass through on the mix of all the songs, which if you guys have any feedback for any of the older stuff you want me to kind of do, this is probably my last chance to get through them. So feel free to check out all the older music. And then we'll probably start looking into maybe doing a few physical copies and getting the whole thing up there. So it's coming pretty soon. I'm shooting for maybe like 4 to 6 weeks. Stay tuned. What do you think of T-Rex, Mark Bolan? T-Rex, I think, is maybe one of the forgotten bands of that era. Old school stuff. I mean, everybody kind of knows Get It On to the point that, like, historically it almost seems like a one-hit band wonder if you don't know about T-Rex. But really, they've got like an incredible breadth of work that you should check out instead. And actually, for listening homework, I'm gonna link you to a cool T-Rex song because it does seem kind of ahead of its time for where it was. It's still bluesy rock, but it has like its own cool sound. I think sonically, they're a really cool band that has done some cool things. Which again, if you're listening to them now for the first time, you'd be like, oh, maybe I've heard this before. But it seems like back in the day, again, I wasn't around, so please, T-Rex fans, hit me up in the comments. It seems like this stuff was way ahead of its time. And, you know, just great band, great dude, Mark Bolan. I don't really know a lot about him for sure, other than I like a lot of his music and his good bluesy stuff. So if you have any questions or comments, hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, the comment section, or the website. Sign up for the Blues Letter. Blues Letter just came out last week, or a few days ago, and I will talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.